my name is Tyra and I have no idea what I'm doing. So in this video, I am going to be expanding on my characters and giving them more depth so that I can better write the story that they are in. One of the things that I struggle with the most is outlining before jumping into a story. I know the characters in my head, but I never really write it down, so it's not a concrete idea. And that is why in this video, I am going to be exploring my characters. Evan is our main character, so for this video, we are mainly going to be focusing on him. This is kind of what I envision him as, but I don't really have a concrete formula for what their characters should be like, though I have a little bit of it. Who, what, and where. I read something. I don't know where I read it at, but it was an article about how when you were writing a character, you need to know the who, the what, and the where. So who is the character? What do they do? What are their goals? Kind of stuff like that. And then where. So the who is just who he is in terms of the story. And in the story, Evan is a son. All of his problems come from the fact that he is the son of this woman. I realize that now. See, this is why characters are so important. And the other part of his issue is the fact that he does not want to live for himself. He has to find someone or something to live for. And that plays a large part in the story as well. So who is Evan? Evan is a teenager who is addicted to smoking in order to replace the love that his mother doesn't offer him. He supports his family by working in an auto shop and does decently in school as to not cause any more issues for himself. Evan does not live for himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't be alive. That sounds a bit more concrete, right? So I think we're going to move on to the what. With the what, we have three basic questions. What happened that defines him? What is happening to him now? And what will happen to him later? It's what happened that defines him. So it has to be something that's in his past or what really defines who he is. For the what happened that defines him, I've decided to change it to this. He doesn't receive love from the ones he should, his family. And upon seeing others get the help they need while he is left behind, he slowly begins to break. And I think that encompasses the story much more because we're following his journey to not acceptance, but to his downfall. And the story is primarily about love and loss, manipulation, and deceit. These are the main themes that I want to outline. Now we are going to move on to the second what. What is happening to him now? Right now, currently. What is the story about? What is happening to him now in the story is actually a lot different since I first wrote this character outline. The story is about him discovering what he wants and reaching for it, right? And how that backfires. Because what he wants is not what he needs. He knows that he's reaching for something that is not going to be good for him in the long run, but he does not care because that's what he wants. He's a teenage boy written by me. This is a one sentence. Okay. He is chasing warmth from anywhere he can get it and trying to keep everything together as it falls apart, causing himself to become more stressed in the process. I think that definitely highlights better of what is actually happening in the story with him specifically. It's still a little shaky, but it does make more sense to me now. Moving on to the final what. What will happen to him later? So knowing the next steps and knowing what is going to be the start of the next story is very important to this character and to moving the story along. Having this type of plan and knowing exactly what is going to happen next and what I want to achieve by the end of the story will help me to create a better story, I hope. Fingers crossed. I mean, I can only hope. I don't know how good it's gonna be until You guys read it. What will happen to him later is supposed to be questions that you're asking after the story is already completed. That's how I'm going to be doing it. If that's wrong, then whatever. At the end of the story, we get this giant shock and shift in his life. He loses his comfortability. Even though his reality was harsh and it wasn't fun at all, he felt comfortable in it because he was used to it. So that immediately shifting will cause him to shift his mindset, and the way that he does things will also shift because everything is changing, and that is hard. Change is hard. How will he adjust to this change? Will he find another attachment? Will this break him? Will he spiral? Those are the questions that I have. Some of those questions are similar to the other ones, but I thought it was good to mention them regardless of that fact. And I think that better displays what I am trying to portray in the story than what I had before. Moving on to the where. Where is everything taking place? I think this is important, although it doesn't take much thought process. Where the story takes place shapes how the character reacts to certain situations. Where they come from, where they go to school, where they go to work, where they hang out. The where is highly important. What I have right now is just Bottom Hill, Midtown, and Uphill, and I think that that's fine because I know exactly what I'm talking about. The location is important because of what happens in the location. So when he's in Bottom Hill, that is his home. That is where he stays, and that is where he met Jack. And then there's the outside of Bottom Hill, and that's also where he works. And he rides his bike to outside of the hills in order to get to the plains, I guess, and his job. So there's outside of there, and where he works, he's more happy. He's a different person outside of the hills because he's more comfortable. Then when he goes to Midtown, that's where his high school is. Basically, there's 2 elementary schools, and it is one in Bottom Hill and one in Uphill. Then we have the middle school and high school is one, it's just secondary school, it's one big school, and it is in Midtown because there's only one high school in the hills. It's a small place, it's not huge, but there's obviously a big difference between Bottom Hill and Uphill. You have $1 million mansions in Uphill, then in Bottom Hill you have government housing and apartments. Apartments are either really rich people who work from home and have little multi-pools, or really poor people who are on food stamps and can barely afford shit. Where he is at any given moment will affect the story, and the location affects the story, and the story is built around the location of the hills. I hope we kind of know who Evan is now as a character, and that you kind of understand what I was trying to convey. In conclusion to this entire thing is writing a character is hard. Writing a book is hard. Don't pressure yourself to finish the book fast just to have a book out. That's what I have so far.